I stood on the sidewalk in front of my house, watching furniture being carried through my front door. My father held my house key in his hand. The key I never gave him. My sister Amanda waved from the porch, smiling like she had just won the lottery. Dad turned to me with that expression I knew too well, the one that said I was about to be told what was best for everyone. Amanda needs this house more than you do. The kids need space to grow. My stomach dropped. This was my house, the house I had worked 5 years to buy, and they were moving into it like I had no say in the matter. I could not move. My feet felt glued to the concrete as I watched a moving truck parked in my driveway. My driveway, the one I had saved for 5 long years to afford. Let me back up for a second because none of this makes sense without understanding how I got here. For 5 years, I worked 2 jobs. During the day, I was a medical billing clerk at a family practice clinic downtown. The pay was not amazing, but it was steady, $38,000 a year before taxes. Every evening, I put on an apron and served coffee and pie at Martha's Diner until 11 at night. That brought in another $15,000 a year with tips. I lived in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment that smelled like the Indian restaurant below it. I drove a beat-up Honda Civic from 2009 that made a weird rattling sound every time I went over 40 miles per hour. I ate ramen noodles and peanut butter sandwiches. I did not go on vacations. I did not buy new clothes unless the old ones literally fell apart. Every single penny I could save went into my house fund. My sister Amanda, on the other hand, never had to worry about money. Dad always made sure she had everything she needed. She married Travis when she was 22, right after she dropped out of college in her junior year. They had 3 kids quickly. Aiden was 7 now. Chloe was 5. And baby Mason just turned 2. Dad paid for their wedding. He helped with their rent when Travis lost jobs. He bought them a car when their old one died. Amanda never had to work the way I did. 8 months ago, I finally did it. I bought my house, a 3-bedroom bungalow in a quiet neighborhood in the suburbs of Austin, Texas. It had a front porch with enough space for a swing. The backyard had a big oak tree that provided shade in the brutal Texas summers. The kitchen needed some updating, but I did not care. It was mine. I had earned it with every late-night shift, every skipped meal, every sacrifice I made. And now my father was handing it over to Amanda like it meant nothing. "Dad, what are you doing?" My voice came out shaky. "How did you even get my key?" He looked at me like I was being unreasonable. "Amanda needs a bigger place. 3 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment is too cramped. You live alone. This makes sense." Makes sense? I could feel anger building in my chest. This is my house, Dad. I paid for it. With my money. Money I earned. Amanda walked down the porch steps carrying a cardboard box. She had that same innocent look she always used when she wanted something. "Josie, I know this is sudden, but you have to understand. The kids are growing. They need space to play. You are just one person. You do not need 3 bedrooms. I stared at her in disbelief. I do not need 3 bedrooms? Amanda, I worked 5 years for this house. 5 years of 2 jobs. Of being exhausted every single day. This is not just a house to me. This is everything I have worked for." Travis appeared behind Amanda. His arms crossed over his chest. He was a tall guy with a perpetual scowl that made him look angry, even when he was not. "Come on, Josie. Do not be selfish about this. Think about the kids. Think about what is best for the family. Selfish." That word hit me like a punch. I was selfish for wanting to keep the house I bought with my own money, but Amanda was not selfish for taking it. The logic made my head spin. The front door opened wider, and I saw Aiden run out. His blonde hair bounced as he jumped down the steps. "Aunt Josie! Daddy said this is our new house! I'm going to have my own room!" My heart cracked. The kids did not know what was happening. They thought this was a fun surprise. They did not know their mother and grandfather were stealing from me. "Aiden, sweetie, this is not your new house," I said gently. Amanda immediately pulled Aiden close to her, her eyes filling with tears. "Josie, please, do not do this in front of the children." "Do not do what? Tell the truth?" Dad stepped between us. His face had turned red, a sign he was about to lose his temper. "Josie Marie, you need to think very carefully about what you are about to do. This family has always taken care of each other. Your mother would be so disappointed in you right now, bringing up my mother." That was a low blow. Mom had passed away 2 years ago from breast cancer. She had been the one who encouraged me to save for a house. She had been so proud when I told her I had finally saved enough for a down payment, and now Dad was using her memory to manipulate me. "Mom would want me to stand up for myself," I said quietly. "She would not want me to let people walk all over me, even if they are family." "You have 3 days," Dad said coldly. 3 days to think about what matters more to you. This house or your family? Choose wisely." He turned and walked into my house. My house. Amanda followed him, crying dramatically while Travis put his arm around her. The kids looked confused but excited as they ran inside to explore. I stood there alone on the sidewalk. My neighbor, Mrs. Margaret, an elderly woman who lived next door, peeked out from behind her curtain. Even from across the yard, I could see the concern on her face. I got back in my car and drove to my old apartment. I had not given it up yet. I was planning to rent it out for extra income. Thank God, I had not found a tenant yet. I let myself in and sat on the worn couch in the dark. 3 days. He gave me 3 days to hand over everything I had worked for. I was not going to do it. I could not do it. But I had no idea what I was going to do instead. That night, I could not sleep. I tossed and turned on the lumpy mattress in my old apartment, my mind racing with anger and confusion. Around 11:30, my phone rang. It was Mrs. Margaret. "Josie, dear." Her voice was worried. "I am so sorry to bother you, but there are people moving furniture into your house. They said they are your family. I just wanted to make sure everything was all right." I sat up straight. "What? When did they start moving things in?" "About 20 minutes ago. A moving truck just pulled up. I thought maybe you knew about it." I grabbed my keys and ran to my car. The drive from my old apartment to my house normally took 15 minutes, but I made it in 10. My heart pounded the entire way. When I pulled up to my house, every light was on. The moving truck was still parked in the driveway. I could see people moving back and forth behind the windows. I walked up to my front door and pulled out my key. I put it in the lock and turned it. Nothing happened. I tried again. The key would not turn. I jiggled it, thinking maybe it was just sticky. Then it hit me. The lock had been changed. I pounded on the door. "Amanda! Open this door right now!" A moment later, the door opened, but only a crack. Amanda peered out through the gap, a small smile on her face. "Oh, Josie, what are you doing here so late?" "The kids are sleeping. What am I doing here? This is my house, Amanda. Why will my key not work?" She opened the door a bit wider. "Well, we needed to make sure the house was secure. You know how it is. We have kids to protect. You changed my locks. You changed the locks on my house. It is for the best, really. This way there is no confusion about who lives here. We live here now, Josie. You need to accept that." I could not believe what I was hearing. "I am calling Dad right now." "Go ahead," she said sweetly. "He is the one who suggested we get new locks." "Good night, Josie." She closed the door. I heard the deadbolt slide into place. The deadbolt on my door. On my house. I called my father immediately. He answered on the 5th ring, his voice thick with sleep. "What is it, Josie?" "It is almost midnight. They changed the locks on my house," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Amanda and Travis changed the locks. That seems like a reasonable security measure, Dad replied, as if this was the most normal thing in the world. They have 3 young children. They need to feel safe. Safe from what? From me? The person who actually owns the house? Josie, you are being dramatic. I thought you would have calmed down by now. This is what is best for everyone. Best for everyone? Dad, I am going to call the police. This is trespassing. They have no right to be in my house. There was a long pause. When Dad spoke again, his voice had changed. It was harder, colder. If you call the police on your own sister, you will destroy this family. Your mother would have never forgiven you for something like that. She always said, family comes first. Are you really going to spit on her memory? My throat tightened. He was doing it again. Using Mom to control me. Do not bring Mom into this, I said. She would not have wanted Amanda to steal from me. No one is stealing anything. We are just redistributing resources within the family. Now go home and get some sleep. We will talk about this when you are thinking more clearly. He hung up. I sat in my car in front of my house, staring at the glowing windows. I could not believe this was happening. My own father was helping my sister steal my house. I needed help. Real help. I pulled up my contacts and found Patrick Harris. Patrick was an attorney who I had met a few years ago, when I did some billing work for his wife, who was a doctor at the clinic. He had given me his card and told me to call if I ever needed legal advice. It was late, but I sent him a text explaining the situation in brief terms. To my surprise, he responded within 5 minutes. This is serious. Come to my office, first thing tomorrow morning. 8 a.m. Bring all your documentation. I drove back to my apartment and tried to sleep, but I only managed about 2 hours. By 7 a.m., I was showered, dressed, and on my way to Patrick's office. Patrick was in his mid-40s, with graying hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He listened to my story without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. Do you have proof that the house is yours? He asked when I finished. I pulled out a folder I had prepared. I have the deed with my name on it. I have all the mortgage documents showing I am the borrower. I have bank statements showing I made all the down payment money. I have pay stubs from both my jobs for the last 5 years. Everything is here. Patrick looked through the documents carefully. This is very clear. You are the sole owner. What your father and sister have done is illegal. It is trespassing at minimum. Possibly more depending on their actions. Can I get them out? Yes. But the process might take time. Since they are family members, the police often hesitate to get involved. They see it as a civil matter. You will need to file an eviction notice through the courts. That can take anywhere from 30 to 90 days. 90 days. 3 months of them living in my house. What about the locks? I asked. That is breaking and entering, technically. But again, since you are related, it gets complicated. However, we can absolutely file a police report. That will create a paper trail. Do it, I said. I want everything documented. Patrick nodded. I will help you with this. But I need to warn you. Legal action against family members can get ugly. Are you prepared for that? I do not have a choice, I said. They are not giving me any other option. After leaving Patrick's office, I went straight to the police station. Officer Davis took my statement. He was a middle-aged man with a sympathetic face, but I could tell he did not really want to get involved in a family dispute. I understand your frustration, ma'am, he said. But this is a complicated situation. They are your family. The law requires us to handle these cases delicately. They are living in my house without my permission and they changed my locks. How is that not a crime? It is trespassing, yes. But the district attorney is unlikely to prosecute family members, especially when minor children are involved. Your best bet is to go through the civil courts and get an eviction order. And how long will that take? Probably 60 to 90 days. depending on the court's schedule. I left the police station feeling defeated. Officer Davis said he would send someone to do a welfare check at the house, but I knew it would not change anything. Back in my car, I checked my email on my phone. There was a message from my mortgage company, First National Bank. The subject line read, "Request to update account information." I opened it with a sinking feeling. The email stated that they had received a request 3 days ago to change the primary contact information on my mortgage account. Someone had submitted paperwork to add a co-owner to the property 3 days ago. That was before Amanda and Travis even moved in. This had been planned. I called the mortgage company immediately. After being transferred 3 times, I finally reached someone in the account services department. "Yes, Miss Carter," the woman said. "We received a request to add Amanda Mitchell as a co-owner on the property at 842 Oak Street." "I never submitted that request," I said. "I am the only owner. According to our records, we have your signature on the form. Can you email me a copy of that form right now?" "Certainly. Give me 1 moment." The email arrived 2 minutes later. I opened the attachment with shaking hands. There it was. A form requesting to add Amanda as a co-owner. And at the bottom, a signature that was supposed to be mine. But it was not my signature. It was close, but not quite right. The J, in Josie, had a different loop. The tail on the Y was too short. Someone had forged my signature. I called the mortgage company back. "This signature is not mine. It has been forged." "That is a very serious allegation, Miss Carter. I am making a formal complaint. This is fraud. I want this form voided immediately. We will need to open an investigation. That can take up to 30 business days." 30 business days? While my father and sister sat in my house, trying to steal it out from under me, I called Patrick again. "They forged my signature on mortgage documents." "That is mortgage fraud," Patrick said immediately. "That is a federal crime. We need to report this to the FBI." "The FBI?" "Yes. Mortgage fraud falls under their jurisdiction. This changes everything, Josie. Your father and sister are not just trespassing. They are committing serious crimes. For the first time since this nightmare started, I felt a tiny spark of hope. They had gone too far. And now they were going to face real consequences. But that spark died quickly when I thought about what this meant. My own father had forged my signature. He had planned this whole thing. He had not just taken advantage of an opportunity. He had orchestrated a crime against his own daughter. I drove back to my apartment and sat in the dark. My phone kept buzzing with texts from family members. Aunt Carol, my father's older sister, sent a long message about the importance of family unity. Uncle Ray, my father's brother, sent a shorter message calling me selfish. Cousin Bethany posted on Facebook about family members who forget where they came from. None of them knew the truth. They only knew Dad's version of the story. And in his version, I was the villain. I met with Patrick the next morning. He had drawn up a plan. We would file a criminal complaint about the forged signature with the local police and the FBI. We would also file a civil lawsuit to remove Amanda and Travis from the property and seek damages for all the stress and legal fees they were causing me. "I have to warn you," Patrick said. "The retainer for this kind of case is $5,000. And depending on how long it drags out, the total could reach $15,000 or more." I had exactly $7,200 left in my savings account after buying the house and doing some repairs. This would wipe me out. But I did not have a choice. "Do it," I said. Patrick started the paperwork immediately. That afternoon, I drove to my father's townhouse. It was a nice place in a gated community, about 15 minutes from my house. Mom's life insurance money had paid for it. Dad opened the door looking annoyed to see me. "What do you want, Josie?" "I know what you did," I said, holding up the printed email with the forged signature. "You forged my signature on mortgage documents. That is fraud, Dad. That is a crime. His face did not change. I do not know what you are talking about. Do not lie to me. I have the proof right here. He glanced at the paper, then back at my face. I did what I had to do for Amanda. She is struggling. She has 3 kids to feed. You have everything you need. I have everything I need because I worked for it. You had no right to do this. His expression hardened. I had every right. I am your father. I know what is best for this family. You are a criminal, I said, my voice shaking. What you did is mortgage fraud. Do you understand that? You could go to jail. No one is going to jail over a family dispute, he scoffed. You are overreacting. As usual. I am filing charges. I am taking you and Amanda to court. His face turned red. If you do that, you are no longer my daughter. Do you understand me? You will be dead to me. Those words hit harder than I expected. Dead to him. After everything. After all the years of trying to be good enough. Trying to prove myself. He was willing to disown me for standing up for myself. Then I guess I am dead to you, I said quietly. Because I am not letting you steal from me. I turned and walked back to my car. Behind me, I heard the door slam so hard. The walls probably shook. That evening, Patrick called me with bad news. Amanda has hired a lawyer. His name is Douglas Freeman. He is apparently claiming that Amanda has a right to live in the house because your father helped you with the down payment. That is a complete lie, I said. Dad did not give me a single dollar. I saved every penny myself. Can you prove that? Yes. I have bank statements showing every deposit I made into my savings account over 5 years. Every single one came from my paychecks. There is not a single deposit from my father. Good. We will need those. Freeman is trying to create a narrative that your father has a financial stake in the property. He is also claiming there was a verbal agreement between you and Amanda that she could live there. There was no agreement. None of this is true. I know, Patrick said. But they are going to try to drag this out as long as possible. The longer they stay in the house, the harder it is to remove them. It is a stalling tactic. That night, I barely slept again. I kept thinking about how this was going to drag on for months. I would have to keep paying the mortgage. $1,300 every month, while also paying rent on my apartment. $850 a month. That was $2,150. I brought home about $3,000 a month after taxes from both jobs. That left me less than $1,000 for food, gas, utilities, and everything else. I was going to go broke fighting for my own house. The next day at work, my boss, Mr. Burton, called me into his office. Josie, you have been distracted lately. You left early yesterday without permission. I need you to be more focused. I am dealing with a family emergency, I explained. I understand. But we have a business to run. I cannot have employees disappearing in the middle of the day. It will not happen again, I promised. But I knew it would. I had court appointments coming up. I had to meet with lawyers. I could not just pretend this was not happening. That night at the diner, my manager Diane pulled me aside. Josie, honey, you messed up 3 orders tonight. Customers are complaining. What is going on with you? I am sorry, I said, fighting back tears. I am just dealing with a lot right now. Well, you need to get it together, or I will have to cut your hours. Everything was falling apart. A week later, I got another shock in the mail. It was a letter from a different bank, Metro Savings Bank. The letter congratulated me on the approval of my home equity loan. Home equity loan. I had not applied for a home equity loan. I tore open the envelope with shaking hands. The letter detailed a loan for $45,000. Approved 3 days prior. The borrower listed on the loan was Amanda Mitchell, described as the homeowner of 842 Oak Street. They had taken out a loan against my house. $45,000. I immediately called Metro Savings Bank. After being transferred multiple times, I reached a loan officer named Sandra. Miss Carter, I see here that the loan was processed on Friday. The funds were deposited into Miss Mitchell's account on Monday. She is not the homeowner. I am. This is fraud. Do you have documentation proving you are the owner? Yes. I can send it right now. Please do that. We will open an investigation. But I need to inform you that the loan has already been disbursed. If this turns out to be fraudulent, recovering those funds could take considerable time. How much time? Months, potentially. These investigations are complex. I hung up and immediately called Patrick. They took out a home equity loan for $45,000 using my house. Jesus, Patrick muttered. They are not just trying to steal your house. They are trying to drain every penny of equity out of it first. What do I do? We escalate. This is not just civil court anymore. This is serious criminal fraud. I am contacting the FBI field office today. I felt like I was drowning. They were not just taking my house. They were destroying my financial future. Even if I got the house back, I would be saddled with a $45,000 debt that I never agreed to. How was I supposed to fight this? I had $7,000. They had stolen $45,000 and showed no signs of stopping. That night, I sat alone in my apartment and cried until I had no tears left. I thought about giving up, about just walking away and letting them have everything. Maybe it would be easier to start over somewhere else, somewhere far away from all of them. But then I thought about those 5 years of work, those endless nights at the diner, coming home smelling like grease and coffee, those mornings dragging myself to the clinic when I was so tired I could barely function. All those sacrifices, all those moments when I wanted to quit, but kept going, because I had a goal. I could not let them take that from me. I would not. The next morning, I woke up determined. But that determination lasted about 3 hours. That was when I received a certified letter from the Austin Police Department. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a notification that Amanda Mitchell had filed a complaint against me for harassment and threats. She was requesting a restraining order. I read the complaint in disbelief. According to Amanda, I had shown up at the house multiple times and threatened her family. She claimed I had scared the children with my aggressive behavior. She said I had sent her threatening text messages and phone calls. None of it was true. I had gone to the house exactly once, the night I discovered they had changed the locks. I had never threatened anyone. I had never sent threatening messages, but here it was. In official police documents. A court hearing was scheduled for 5 days from now. I called Patrick immediately. They are accusing me of harassment. They want a restraining order. Let me see the complaint, he said. I took a photo of the document and sent it to him. A few minutes later, he called back. This is a complete fabrication. But it is a smart tactic on their part. If they can get a restraining order, you will not be able to go within 500 feet of your own house. Can they actually get it? Not if we present the facts properly. We have evidence that you only visited the property once. We have text messages showing you only asked them to leave, with no threats. We can fight this. But I have to appear in court. Yes. In 5 days, another day of work I would have to miss. Another step toward losing my job. The stress was taking a physical toll. I had lost 8 pounds in 2 weeks. My clothes hung loose on my frame. I could not sleep more than a few hours a night. Dark circles had formed under my eyes that makeup could not hide. My phone kept ringing with calls from family members. Aunt Carol left a voicemail. Josie, I do not know what has gotten into you. Your father told me about the lawsuit. How could you do this to your own family? Your mother is probably turning over in her grave. Uncle Ray sent a text. You are tearing this family apart over a house. Just a house. Your sister needs help, and you are being selfish. Grow up. Cousin Bethany made another Facebook post. She did not name me directly, but everyone knew who she was talking about. Some people forget that family is forever, and possessions are temporary. Watching someone choose material things over their own flesh and blood is heartbreaking. Prayers for my family during this difficult time. The comment section was full of people agreeing with her. People I had known my whole life. None of them knew the truth. They only knew the story Dad and Amanda had told them. I wanted to defend myself. I wanted to post my side of the story. But Patrick had warned me not to discuss the case on social media. Anything I said could be used against me in court. So I stayed silent while my reputation was destroyed. On Tuesday, Mr. Burton called me into his office again. "Josie, I got a call from someone claiming to be your sister. She said you have been harassing her family and that you might be unstable. She wanted to warn me that you might become violent in the workplace." I felt the blood drain from my face. That is not true. None of that is true. I do not know what is going on in your personal life, Mr. Burton said slowly. But this is affecting your work. You are distracted. You are missing days. And now I am getting concerning phone calls. I am going to have to put you on probation. Please, I said. I need this job. I am fighting a legal battle right now. They are lying about me to try to make me look bad. That is between you and your family. But I cannot have drama affecting this office. You have 2 weeks to get your act together, or I will have to let you go. I left his office feeling numb. I was going to lose everything. My house, my savings, my job, my family, my reputation. All because I refused to let them steal from me. That night at the diner, I dropped a full tray of dishes. The crash brought the entire restaurant to a stop. Diane rushed over. "Josie, go home. You are a mess." "I am fine. I just slipped." "You are not fine. You look like you have not slept in a week. Go home and pull yourself together." I left early, losing 3 hours of wages I desperately needed. Back at my apartment, I checked my bank account. After paying Patrick's retainer and this month's bills, I had $3,200 left. That was supposed to last me until I got my next paychecks. But with reduced hours at the diner and the threat of losing my day job, I did not know how much longer I could hold on. I thought about Mom. If she were alive, what would she tell me to do? Would she want me to forgive Dad and Amanda? Would she want me to just let it go to keep the peace? Or would she want me to fight for what was mine? I remembered something she told me about a year before she died. We were sitting in her hospital room between chemotherapy treatments. She looked so small in that bed, so fragile, but her eyes were fierce when she grabbed my hand. "Josie, baby, you are stronger than you think you are. Do not let anyone, and I mean anyone, make you doubt your worth. You have earned everything you have, and you deserve to keep it. Do not let people walk all over you just because they are family. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most are the ones who will hurt you the deepest." At the time, I thought she was talking in general terms. Now I wondered if she had known something I did not. Had she seen this side of Dad before? Had she known what he was capable of? I picked up my phone and looked at the letter from the police department again. The restraining order hearing was in 3 days. Then my phone rang. It was an unknown number with a local area code. "Hello? Is this Josie Carter?" A man's voice, deep and professional. "Yes. Who is this?" "My name is Marcus Webb. I am a private investigator. I was hired to investigate you." My stomach dropped. "Investigate me? By who?" "By your father, Richard Carter. He wanted me to find information about your personal life that could be used in court proceedings." "I do not understand. Why are you calling to tell me this?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Because after looking into your situation, I realized your father and sister are the ones who should be investigated, not you. What they are doing to you is wrong. I do not work for people who commit fraud. You believe me? I do more than believe you. I investigated. I found records showing your sister and her husband have been evicted from 2 previous apartments for failure to pay rent. They have over $60,000 in credit card debt. Her husband, Travis, was fired from his job at the warehouse 3 months ago, though they have been lying about it. They are in serious financial trouble. That is why they are desperate to take your house. This news hit me like a truck. Amanda was in financial trouble? She had always acted like everything was fine. I have documentation of all of this, Marcus continued. And I am willing to testify on your behalf if this goes to court. What your father hired me to do was unethical. I would rather do the right thing. For the first time in weeks, I felt a small spark of something that might have been hope. Why would you do this for me? I asked. Because I have 2 daughters. If someone tried to do to them what is being done to you, I would hope someone would help them. Consider this my help. After I hung up with Marcus, I sat in silence for a long time. Finally, someone believed me. Finally, someone saw the truth. I called Patrick and told him about Marcus. Patrick was cautious but intrigued. This could be a game changer. If we can show that Amanda and Travis are in financial distress and have a pattern of not paying their debts, it strengthens our case that they are trying to steal your property for their own gain. What do we do next? We prepare for the restraining order hearing, and then we go on the offensive. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I had a chance. The morning after Marcus's call, I woke up with a sense of purpose I had not felt in weeks. I was done being a victim. It was time to fight back. I met with Patrick and Marcus at Patrick's office. Marcus was in his late 40s, built like someone who had spent time in the military, with sharp eyes that did not miss anything. He laid out everything he had found on Amanda and Travis. They are drowning in debt, Marcus explained, spreading documents across the conference table. Credit cards maxed out at $62,000. 2 previous evictions. Travis lost his warehouse job in June, which means they have been living on Amanda's part-time retail income alone. About $1,200 a month. That does not cover rent, utilities, car payments, and 3 kids. So they needed my house, I said. They needed your house. And they needed that home equity loan. That $45,000 probably went straight to paying off their most urgent debts. Patrick leaned forward. This is exactly what we need. It shows motive. It shows a pattern of financial irresponsibility. And it proves they had every reason to commit fraud to get access to Josie's property. I have copies of everything, Marcus said. Eviction notices, credit reports, employment termination paperwork, all legally obtained. Will you testify? Patrick asked. Absolutely. I felt tears prick my eyes. Thank you. You have no idea what this means to me. Marcus smiled slightly. I have a pretty good idea. Now let's make sure these people face consequences for what they have done. 3 days later, we went to court for the restraining order hearing. Amanda showed up with her lawyer, Douglas Freeman, and Travis. Amanda wore a conservative dress and had clearly been crying, her eyes red and puffy. She looked like a damsel in distress. When the Judge Hernandez, called the case, Freeman stood up and presented Amanda's claims. Your Honor, my client has been subjected to repeated harassment from her sister. Miss Carter has appeared at the residence multiple times, making threats and frightening the children. My client fears for her safety and the safety of her family. Judge Hernandez looked at me. Miss Carter, what do you have to say about these allegations? I stood up, my legs shaking slightly. Patrick had coached me on what to say. Your Honor, these allegations are completely false. I have visited the property exactly once, since Miss Ayana, Mitchell illegally moved in and changed the locks. I have never threatened anyone. I have never frightened any children. Patrick stood and presented our evidence. Your Honor, I have text messages between Miss Carter and Miss Mitchell showing that Miss Carter simply asked her sister to leave the property. At no point did she make any threats. Furthermore, we have security camera footage from the property that proves Miss Carter has not been there multiple times as claimed. Freeman looked surprised. Security camera footage? Yes, Patrick said smoothly. Miss Carter installed a security system when she purchased the home. The footage is stored in the cloud. It shows clearly that Miss Carter visited the property only once, and she left immediately when asked. I had completely forgotten about that security camera until 2 days ago, when I was documenting everything for Patrick. It was one of the first things I installed when I moved in, a doorbell camera that recorded everyone who came to the front door. I had logged into the account and downloaded every piece of footage from the past month. Patrick played the footage on his laptop for the judge. It showed me arriving that night, knocking on the door, speaking to Amanda briefly, and then leaving. The audio was clear. At no point did I threaten anyone. I simply said, "This is my house. You need to leave." Judge Hernandez watched the footage carefully, then looked at Amanda with a stern expression. Miss Mitchell, this footage contradicts your testimony. Do you have any explanation? Amanda started crying harder. I felt threatened. Your Honor, maybe she only came once, but the way she looked at me was scary. I have anxiety, and I felt unsafe. Judge Hernandez did not look impressed. Feeling uncomfortable is not the same as being threatened. Miss Carter has a right to visit her own property. The restraining order is denied. She turned to Amanda. Furthermore, Miss Mitchell, I suggest you consult with a lawyer about property law. Based on the evidence presented here, you appear to be occupying property that does not belong to you. That could constitute trespassing. Freeman started to object, but the judge held up her hand. This hearing is concluded. We walked out of the courtroom, and I felt like I could finally breathe. It was a small victory, but it felt huge. For the first time, someone in authority had acknowledged that I was the victim here, not Amanda. But the moment was short-lived. As we walked to the parking lot, my phone rang. Unknown number again. Hello? Yosie Carter? Yes? This is Detective Morrison with the Austin Police Department. I would like to speak with you about a fraud case. Can you come to the station this afternoon? My heart leaped. Yes, absolutely. Detective Morrison was a tall black man with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. He met me in an interview room at the police station. Patrick came with me. Miss Carter, I have been reviewing the evidence you and your attorney submitted regarding the forged documents and fraudulent home equity loan. I also received a report from the FBI regarding mortgage fraud. Based on what I have seen, I believe we have enough evidence to move forward with criminal charges. Criminal charges? I repeated, wanting to make sure I understood. Yes. Against both Richard Carter and Amanda Mitchell for forgery, fraud, and identity theft. These are serious charges. If convicted, they could face significant prison time. I felt a mix of emotions. Relief that someone was finally taking this seriously, but also sadness, because these were my father and sister. Despite everything they had done, I never wanted them to go to jail. What happens next? Patrick asked. We will issue arrest warrants. They will be arrested and processed. There will be a bail hearing. Then the case will go to the district attorney's office for prosecution. How long will all this take? I asked. The arrests will happen within the next few days. The legal process after that can take several months. But in the meantime, we can work with you to get the property secured. Once they are arrested, we can have a locksmith come and change the locks back to your name only. Finally, I was going to get my house back. 2 days later, I got a call from Mrs. Margaret. Josie, dear, there are police cars in front of your house. I drove there immediately. When I arrived, I saw 2 police cruisers parked in the driveway. My father was being led out in handcuffs. Amanda was behind him, also in handcuffs, sobbing loudly. Travis stood on the porch holding baby Mason, looking shocked. Aiden and Chloe peeked out from behind their father, confusion and fear on their small faces. My heart broke for the kids. They did not deserve this. They were innocent in all of it. Detective Morrison saw me and walked over. Miss Carter, the subjects have been arrested. We are coordinating with a locksmith to change the locks. You should be able to access your property within the hour. I nodded, unable to speak. I watched as my father and Amanda were put into separate police cars. Dad looked at me through the window. His expression was not apologetic. It was angry. Even now, he thought I was the one in the wrong. The police cars drove away. Travis came down from the porch, Mason on his hip. He looked at me with something that might have been shame. I did not know it was this bad, he said quietly. Amanda told me you had agreed to let us stay here temporarily. She said you were just changing your mind. She lied to you, I said. This was never temporary. And I never agreed to anything. He nodded slowly. I will get the kids things. We will be out by tonight. The kids can finish their snacks or whatever, I said. I am not going to throw children out onto the street. But the adults need to leave immediately. Travis went back inside. A locksmith van pulled up. A cheerful man named Ron got out with his tools. You are Miss Carter? Let's get you back into your home. 30 minutes later, I had new keys. Ron had changed all the locks, front door, back door, and garage. He handed me a small bag with the new keys inside. All yours again, he said with a smile. I walked through my front door for the first time in 2 weeks. The house was a disaster. Toys everywhere. Dirty dishes piled in the sink. The walls in one of the bedrooms had crayon marks all over them. Some of my furniture had scratches and stains, but it was mine. I was home. Mrs. Margaret came over with a casserole. I thought you might need a good meal, dear. You have been through so much. Thank you, I said, tears streaming down my face. Thank you for believing me. Of course I believed you. I have lived next door to you for 8 months. I have seen how hard you work, how you take care of this place. I knew something was wrong when they moved in like that. Over the next few days, more neighbors came by to offer support. Apparently, Marcus had shared some information with a local news reporter named Jennifer Cole, and she had run a story about the case. The story painted me as a hard-working woman whose own family had tried to steal everything she had earned. The response was overwhelming. People I had never met sent messages of support. Some even sent small donations to help with my legal fees. A local painting company offered to repaint the damaged walls for free. A furniture store gave me a discount on replacing the pieces that had been ruined. But the biggest surprise came from my extended family. Uncle Ray called. Josie, I owe you an apology. A big one. I was silent, waiting. I did not know the truth. Your father told us a very different story. He said you had promised Amanda the house, and then backed out. He said you were being vindictive. I should have talked to you directly instead of believing him. I am sorry. Aunt Carol called next, her voice thick with tears. Honey, I am so ashamed. I said terrible things to you, and you did not deserve any of it. I have seen the news reports. I have talked to your lawyer. I know what they did now. Can you ever forgive me? Even Cousin Bethany sent a long apology message on Facebook, deleted her previous post, and posted a new one defending me and apologizing for jumping to conclusions. It felt good to be vindicated, but it also felt hollow, because the two people who should have been apologizing, my father and Amanda, still had not. The criminal trial was set for 3 months later, but it never made it that far. Patrick called me 6 weeks after the arrests. They want to take a plea deal, he said. Both of them. The evidence against them is overwhelming, and their lawyers have advised them that going to trial would be a mistake. What kind of deal? Your father would get 3 years probation, 200 hours of community service, and he would have to pay restitution. Amanda would get 5 years probation, 300 hours of community service, and also pay restitution. The total restitution amount would be $52,000, covering the fraudulent loan, your legal fees, and damages to the property. No jail time. For first-time offenders in a family dispute case, probation is actually pretty standard, unless the judge decides to be harsh. The restitution is the important part. They will be legally obligated to pay you back everything they stole. Will they actually pay? If they do not, they violate their probation and can go to jail. So yes, they will pay, even if it takes them years. The sentencing hearing was held on a cold morning in November. I sat in the courtroom with Patrick on one side and Marcus on the other. Both had become good friends over the past few months. My father and Amanda sat at separate tables with their lawyers. They both looked smaller somehow, diminished. Dad's hair had gotten grayer. Amanda had lost weight and looked exhausted. Judge Hernandez presided over the sentencing. She listened to the lawyers present the plea agreements. Then she looked directly at my father and Amanda. I have reviewed this case extensively, Judge Hernandez began. What you two did to Miss Carter is reprehensible. Family members are supposed to protect each other, support each other, lift each other up. Instead, you saw your daughter and sister as someone to exploit. You forged documents. You committed fraud. You stole from someone who had worked tirelessly to build a life for herself. Dad stared at the floor. Amanda cried quietly. The only reason you are not going to prison is because Miss Carter has shown more compassion than you deserve. She could have pushed for maximum sentencing, but she did not. That speaks to her character. I hope someday you realize what you threw away. Judge Hernandez accepted the plea deals. 3 years probation for Dad, 5 for Amanda, community service, and the $52,000 restitution, to be paid in monthly installments over 5 years. As everyone stood to leave, Dad looked at me. For a moment, I thought he might say something. An apology, maybe, an acknowledgement of what he had done, but he just turned and walked out. Amanda hesitated. She took a few steps toward me, then stopped. Josie? Do not, I said quietly. Just do not. She nodded and left. The civil case regarding the house was resolved quickly after the criminal case. The title was cleared with just my name on it. The fraudulent home equity loan was declared void since it had been obtained through illegal means. Metro Savings Bank had to absorb the loss, though they would likely try to recover it from Amanda and Travis somehow. Travis had filed for divorce from Amanda 2 weeks after the arrests. Apparently, the shame and financial burden was too much for him. Amanda moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment across town with the 3 kids. According to Aunt Carol, Amanda was working 2 jobs now, trying to keep up with the court-ordered restitution payments while also supporting her kids. I tried to feel bad for her. Part of me did feel bad, especially for the kids. But a larger part of me felt nothing but relief that it was finally over. I spent the next 2 months fixing up my house. The painting company came and repainted every wall. I bought new furniture to replace what had been damaged. I deep cleaned every room. I planted flowers in the front yard. I hung pictures on the walls. Pictures of me and Mom from before she got sick. Mrs. Margaret came over for tea regularly. Other neighbors became friends. My street started to feel like a real community. Work stabilized. Mr. Burton took me off probation after he learned the full truth of what had happened. I am sorry I doubted you, he said. You are one of our best employees, and I should have trusted you. Diane at the diner gave me more hours and even gave me a raise. You deserve it after everything you went through. My bank account slowly recovered. The donations from strangers had helped more than I could have imagined. I was not back where I was before all this started. But I was getting there. One Saturday afternoon, about 4 months after the sentencing, someone knocked on my door. I looked through the peephole and saw Uncle Ray standing there. I opened the door cautiously. "Hi, Josie. I hope you do not mind me dropping by. I wanted to talk to you about your dad." I let him in, though I was not sure I wanted to hear this. We sat in my living room. Uncle Ray looked uncomfortable. "Your father is not doing well," he said. "He has been depressed since all this happened. He barely leaves his house. I am worried about him." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because despite everything, he is still your father. I think he realizes what he did was wrong, but he does not know how to say it. He is a proud man, Josie. Too proud sometimes. I did not do this to him. He did this to himself. I know that. Everyone knows that. But maybe, someday, you could find it in your heart to talk to him. Not now. I am not asking you to forgive him now, but maybe eventually." After Uncle Ray left, I sat alone thinking about my father. Did I want him back in my life someday? I honestly did not know. The wounds were still too fresh, but I did know one thing. I did not owe him anything. Not my forgiveness. Not my time. Not my emotional energy. He had taken enough from me. If reconciliation was going to happen, it would have to be on my terms, when I was ready, if I was ever ready. A few weeks later, I was in my kitchen making dinner when I heard the mail slot click. I went to gather the mail and found an envelope with no return address. Inside was a handwritten letter on lined paper. It was from Amanda. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity got the better of me. I unfolded the pages and began to read. The letter was long and rambling. Amanda apologized for everything. She explained that she had been desperate, drowning in debt, terrified of losing her kids. She said Travis had been putting pressure on her to fix their financial situation. She said Dad had convinced her that I did not really need the house, that I would understand eventually. She was sorry. She knew what she did was wrong. She understood if I never spoke to her again. She just wanted me to know that she never meant to hurt me as badly as she did. The letter ended with, "You were always the strong one, Josie. I wish I could have been more like you." I read the letter twice, then put it back in the envelope. I placed it in a drawer in my desk. Maybe someday I would respond to it. Maybe someday I would want to rebuild something with Amanda, but not today. Today I needed to focus on myself, on my life, on my future. That evening, I sat on my front porch watching the sunset. The Texas sky turned brilliant shades of orange and pink. The air smelled like honeysuckle from Mrs. Margaret's garden. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves of my oak tree. I thought about everything I had been through. The fear, the anger, the feeling of being completely alone. But I also thought about the strength I had found, the courage to stand up for myself even when everyone was against me, the determination to fight for what was mine. I had learned so much. I learned that family does not automatically deserve your trust or your sacrifice. I learned that setting boundaries does not make you selfish. It makes you smart. I learned that sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most can hurt you the deepest. And I learned that standing alone is better than standing with people who only want to use you. A car pulled into the driveway next door. A man got out. Someone I did not recognize at first. Then I realized it was Colin, Mrs. Margaret's nephew. He was a teacher at one of the local elementary schools. We had met a few times when he visited his aunt. He waved. "Hey, Josie. Beautiful evening, is not it?" "It really is," I called back. "I am staying with Aunt Margaret for a few weeks while my apartment is being renovated. Maybe we could grab coffee sometime? I would love to hear more about your work at the clinic. I am thinking about switching careers into healthcare administration." I smiled. "I would like that. It was not a date. Not yet. But it was a possibility. A glimpse of a future where I was not just recovering from trauma, but actually building something new. As the sun sank lower on the horizon, I felt something I had not felt in months. Peace. Real. Genuine peace. I was home. Not just in the physical building, but in myself. I knew who I was. I knew what I was worth. And I knew that I could handle whatever came next, because I had already survived the worst. And I had come out stronger on the other side. 6 months after the sentencing, my life had settled into a comfortable rhythm. The house was fully repaired and decorated exactly how I wanted it. Every room reflected my personality, my hard work, my taste. When I walked through the door each evening after work, I felt genuine happiness. The community service hours had a profound effect on both my father and Amanda. Dad was assigned to work at a local homeless shelter, helping prepare and serve meals. From what Aunt Carol told me, being around people who had truly lost everything seemed to humble him. He stopped complaining about his situation and started quietly doing his work. Amanda was assigned to a women's financial literacy program, teaching basic budgeting skills. The irony was not lost on anyone. But according to the program director who I ran into at the grocery store, Amanda was actually good at it. She used her own mistakes as cautionary tales, showing other women how quickly debt can spiral out of control. The restitution payments came like clockwork every month. $500 from Dad, $300 from Amanda. It would take them years to pay off the full amount, but at least they were paying. The money went straight into a savings account. I was rebuilding my emergency fund and planning for the future. Work had become stable again. Mr. Burton gave me a promotion at the clinic. I was now the senior medical billing specialist, which came with a raise to $42,000 a year. Between that and my diner shifts, I was making more money than I ever had before. I was even able to cut back my diner hours to just 3 nights a week instead of 6, giving me more time to actually enjoy my life. Mrs. Margaret had become like a second mother to me. We had tea together twice a week, and she checked in on me regularly. She introduced me to other neighbors, and slowly I built a network of friends on my street. Block parties, holiday gatherings, casual barbecues. It was the community I had always wanted. And then there was Colin. What started as coffee had turned into regular dates. He was kind, funny, and most importantly, he respected my boundaries. He did not push when I was not ready. He listened when I needed to talk. He gave me space when I needed it. We were taking things slow, but it felt right. One evening in early spring, almost a year after everything had started, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find my father standing there. He looked different. Older, tired, but somehow lighter. Like he had been carrying a heavy burden, and finally set it down. "I know I have no right to be here," he said. "If you want me to leave, I will leave." But I needed to say something. I stood in the doorway, not inviting him in, but not sending him away either. "I am sorry," Dad said, and his voice cracked. "I am so sorry, Josie. What I did was unforgivable. I put Amanda's needs above yours, because I thought she needed more help. But the truth is, I enabled her instead of teaching her to stand on her own feet. And I hurt you. I hurt my daughter who worked harder than anyone I know. I destroyed your trust, your sense of security, your relationship with your family, all because I thought I knew better than you what you should do with your life." Tears streamed down his face. "I do not expect you to forgive me. I do not even deserve your forgiveness. But I needed you to know that I know what I did was wrong. I see it now. Working at that shelter, seeing people who have nothing, made me realize what I almost made you become. I almost destroyed everything you built. I am ashamed of myself." I stood there silently, processing his words. Part of me wanted to slam the door in his face. Part of me wanted to scream at him for all the pain he caused. But another part of me, the part that remembered the dad who taught me to ride a bike and came to my school plays, felt a tiny crack in the wall of anger I had built. "I appreciate you saying that," I finally said. "But an apology does not erase what happened. You forged my signature, Dad. You committed crimes against me. You made me feel like I was losing my mind. Do you understand how that felt?" "I do now," he said quietly. "Or at least I am trying to understand." "I need time," I told him. "Maybe a lot of time. I do not know if I can ever trust you again. I do not know if we can ever have a real relationship again. But I appreciate you coming here and acknowledging what you did." He nodded, wiping his eyes. "That is more than I deserve. Thank you for even listening to me." He turned to leave, then stopped and looked back. "Your mother would be so proud of you. The way you stood up for yourself, the way you fought back. She always said you were stronger than you knew." She was right. After he left, I sat on my couch for a long time, thinking. Forgiveness was complicated. Could I forgive him someday? Maybe. But forgiveness did not mean forgetting. It did not mean letting him back into my life as if nothing had happened. It meant releasing the anger, so it did not poison me anymore. I was not there yet, but I could see a path forward, even if it was a long and winding one. Amanda sent occasional letters. I read them but did not respond. She was working hard according to her updates. Working 2 jobs, taking parenting classes, attending therapy. She was trying to be better, which was more than I expected. But I was not ready to let her back in either. That did not make me cruel or unforgiving. It made me smart. I had learned that setting boundaries was not just okay. It was necessary. Some people need to be kept at arm's length, even if they are family, especially if they are family. On a warm Saturday in late April, I invited Colin, Mrs. Margaret, and a few other neighbors over for a backyard barbecue. I grilled burgers and hot dogs while Colin made his famous potato salad. Mrs. Margaret brought a pie. We sat around my picnic table, laughing and telling stories as the sun set over my oak tree. This was what I had worked for. Not just a house, but a home. Not just walls and a roof, but a place filled with people who genuinely cared about me. People who respected me. People who saw my worth. As I looked around at these smiling faces, I realized something important. I had spent so much of my life trying to prove myself to my father and sister, trying to be worthy of their love and respect. But they were never going to give me what I needed because they did not value the same things I valued. My worth was not determined by their opinion of me. My worth came from within, from my hard work, from my integrity, from my willingness to stand up for myself, even when it was hard. I thought about everything I had learned through this nightmare, the lessons that came at such a high cost. Lesson 1. Your value is not determined by how others treat you. I had let my father and sister make me feel small and selfish for wanting to keep what I had earned. But their judgment was wrong. Standing up for yourself is not selfish. It is self-respect. Lesson 2. Family does not get a free pass to hurt you. I had been raised to believe that family was everything, that you forgive family no matter what they do. But that is not healthy. Family members should be held to the same standards as everyone else, maybe even higher standards, because they are supposed to love you. Lesson 3. Actions have consequences, even within families. For too long, Amanda had been shielded from the consequences of her choices. Dad enabled her, bailed her out, made excuses for her, and it turned her into someone who thought she could take whatever she wanted without facing any repercussions. The criminal charges and restitution were hard, but they were necessary. Maybe, just maybe, they would help her learn to take responsibility for her life. Lesson 4. Hard work matters. I had sacrificed for 5 years to buy this house. Those years of late nights and exhaustion had been worth it. Not just because I ended up with a house, but because I learned what I was capable of achieving. I learned that I was strong enough to set a goal and make it happen, regardless of what anyone else thought. Lesson 5. Saying no is powerful. So much of this situation happened because I had always been the one to compromise, to back down, to put others first. The moment I said no and actually meant it, everything changed. No is a complete sentence. I did not owe anyone an explanation for protecting what was mine. And the most important lesson, the most important home you can build, is not made of wood and bricks. It is made of self-respect, boundaries, and knowing your worth. My house could have been taken from me. In some ways, it was taken for a while, but no one could take away the person I had become through fighting for it. As the evening wound down and guests started to leave, Colin stayed behind to help clean up. We worked together in comfortable silence, gathering paper plates and wiping down tables. "You seem happy," he said as we finished. "Really happy. Not just putting on a brave face." I am happy, I realized. For the first time in a long time, I am genuinely happy. "You deserve it," he said, then kissed me gently on the forehead. "You have been through hell and came out the other side. Not everyone can say that." After he left, I sat on my porch swing and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, my mother was probably watching. I like to think she was proud of me, not just for keeping the house, but for keeping myself intact through it all. Tomorrow, I would wake up in my own bed, in my own house. I would make coffee in my own kitchen. I would sit on my own porch. Every single thing around me was earned through my own effort, and that felt like the greatest victory of all. I want to leave you with this thought. If you are facing a situation where someone is trying to take advantage of you, even if that someone is family, you have the right to say no. You have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to set boundaries. Standing up for yourself does not make you the villain in the story, even if people try to paint you that way. Your worth is not determined by other people's opinions. Your worth is determined by how you treat yourself, how hard you are willing to work, and how much you are willing to fight for what you believe in. Never let anyone make you feel guilty for refusing to be their doormat. Not your parents, not your siblings, not anyone. You are allowed to choose yourself. In fact, sometimes choosing yourself is the bravest thing you can do. So here is my question for you. Have you ever had to stand up to family members who tried to take advantage of you? How did you handle it? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who is going through something similar. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories, and maybe, just maybe, helps someone realize they are not alone in their struggle. Subscribe to hear more real-life stories about standing up for yourself, setting boundaries, and finding your strength even in the darkest moments. I share new stories every week, and share this with anyone who needs to hear it. Someone in your life might be struggling with a similar situation and needs to know that they have the right to protect themselves. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for your support through the comments and messages. Thank you for being part of this community. Remember, your home is not just where you live. Your home is where you feel safe, respected, and valued. Never let anyone take that away from you. Take care of yourselves out there. Set those boundaries. Stand your ground. You are worth it. Until next time, stay strong.